That's weird. I wonder why areas with the strongest gun control laws have the highest crime rates. Because criminals are empowered by lame-brained political policies, you dumbass. Hey guys, one of the reasons I promote things on my channel is because I use them. And I use them because I believe they benefit me. They help promote strength, endurance, and energy. Energy? I give you some freaking energy around here. A lot of nature's top fruits and vegetables that support a healthy heart, circulatory system, and high energy happen to be red. So come on, spit it out. Where do we get some of this red stuff? I drink Eternal Reds because it's got 8 specific foods that promotes energy. And these foods would be costly and time consuming to get in your typical diet. So click the link in the description and grab some energy.
Daily Mail reported on this yesterday. America's deadly year. Philadelphia now has more murders than New York City and LA, and a dozen major U.S. cities smash annual homicide records, and they're all Democrat. Now, I don't like playing the left versus right paradigm lie thing, but you have to admit there's something especially evil going on in places that are Democrat strongholds. There's some kind of mentality going on with Democrats that facilitates, needles in the streets, so much crap in San Francisco shithole that they have to create something called a crap map for all the human feces that's on the sidewalk everywhere. Smashed windows. They lower the barrier there in places like San Francisco, democratically held strongholds, where if you steal $950 worth of items, you're not going to be prosecuted. Truly ridiculous things going on. Philadelphia shattered its 30-year-old record for annual murders, surpassing the much larger cities of New York and Los Angeles, as a dozen major cities post all-time records for homicides, all of them with Democratic mayors. As of December 6th, Philadelphia had recorded 521 homicides for the year, surpassing New York's 443 and Los Angeles' 352. LA County was horrible. Having lived in LA County for 7.5 years, I can tell you those sheriff's helicopters were always in the air, spotlights going down. At least I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week, the helicopters would be hovering over. Just a real high crime area. This is despite the fact that with a population of 1.5 million, the city of brotherly love is less than half the size of Los Angeles and 1/5 of New York. Though Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, which leads the nation with 739 murders this year, it's not that way in Kennesaw, Georgia. Kennesaw, Georgia, since 1980 has had this law saying that you have to have I don't like laws that tell you got to do something or you'll be punished. This obviously is not an enforceable law, but it's still on the books that every household is required to have at least one firearm in the household. Their crime rate is like 0.6%. So obviously criminals are tooling through the neighborhood going, hey, where are we at, man? Kennesaw, Georgia. Hey, Google, Kennesaw, Georgia. What's the crime rate here? 0.6%. 0.6%? Wonder what's the deal? And then they find out, oh, there's probably a firearm in a good percentage of these households right here. This isn't a safe working environment for us fellow criminals. Let's go elsewhere. Hey, how about LA? How about New York? How about the city of brotherly love? Let's take advantage of some Democrats out there. God. At least a dozen large mid-tier cities around the country have already broken their annual records. The grim trend follows national calls to defund police departments and in some cities reform the bail rules that critics claim let dangerous offenders lose pending trial. Robert Boyce, a retired chief of detectives for the New York Police Department, blamed the nationwide murder surge on a sharp decline in arrests and pretrial detention. I want to know what they're calling crime. Now, in this case, they're talking about 739 murders this year. But what are people labeling crime? Because unless you have a victim, you don't have a crime. You haven't committed a crime if you've broken the laws or edicts or opinions of politicians, which is always backed by the threat of force. They call it a man-made law. It's not truly a law. It's really just an opinion. You have not committed a crime if you've broken the law or the rule of a politician. Hey, you can't have that alcohol. Hey, you can't smoke there. Hey, you can't, hey, it looks like you're loitering. You didn't show me your ID. You're going down, boy. Those aren't crimes. The prison industrial complex is alive and well, guys. Now, what they're not doing is prosecuting real crimes while they continue to prosecute fake crimes. Look what they tried to just pin on Kyle Rittenhouse for just wanting to defend himself, for wanting a safe area that his father lived in, for wanting to defend these people's property. People are getting picked up for gun possession, and they're just let out over and over again. Gun possession is a crime. Here's how convoluted these articles can be. Even though you might agree with the title, hey, yeah, that makes sense. The murders soar in democratically held strongholds, while they kind of go down in the Republican held strongholds where people are more apt to be pro-Second Amendment. That makes sense. But then they go overboard talking about, yeah, people are getting picked up for this, but they're not getting picked up for gun possession. Guess what? It's not a crime to possess guns. That's what I got a problem with these. I'm sure a lot of these graphs and a lot of these numbers are just convoluted. Despite Philadelphia blowing past the prior record of 500 members set in 1990, the city's progressive district attorney, Larry Krasner, a champion of bail and police reform, insists that there is no crime wave. Quote, "We don't have a crisis of lawlessness. We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence," Krasner said in a testy exchange with reporters on Monday, noting that violent crimes committed without guns are down. "This is not a big spike in crime. That is not true. There's also not a big spike in violent crime either." Yeah, of course we've lowered the barrier in places like San Francisco. You can literally, it's okay. They're basically saying, okay, you can steal from that store, but your limit is $950. We're not going to prosecute you. And you can see the cop going, okay, this Louis Vuitton purse, $250 or whatever. All right. Yeah, you got $779. We can't do anything with you. All right. Can't prosecute you. No criminal activity should be accepted. They shouldn't be dropping the barriers and giving people, having people slide past morality. And that's what it is. It's an issue of morality. Hey, if you commit a crime, you should do your time. If you commit the crime. But what I think what this takes is you don't need a more powerful police force. I agree with the defund the tyrants. When you say defund the police, you're saying defund tyrants, defund the thin blue line gang. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. The less police that you have, it's not the police who keep you safe. You can call 911 all you want to, but I'd advise that you call 1911 or 357 or Glock 22 or whatever. When seconds count, police are minutes away. They get there after the crime has been committed. Empower yourself. That's the answer to this whole thing. Have the store owners empower themselves in San Francisco or Los Angeles or New York. But what they do is they end up creating situations when they make all these laws of empowering criminals while weakening the victims. A criminal loves laws. They love it when politicians create more and more and more laws, because that means the people who are the law abiders get weaker and weaker and weaker, while the criminals who are going to capitalize on and manipulate and exploit those law abiders get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's our problem. Beefing up the police force is the last thing you want. The police are not your friends, just like the media is not your friends. They are your avowed enemies. They're hypocritical enemies at that, because they swear to protect, defend, and uphold the Constitution of the United States, which means your rights. But what do they end up doing? They end up enforcing the policies of the politicians in taking away your rights and fining you and costing you more money. So then we all become tax cattle and wage slaves and people who don't have any rights, which is a slavery scenario. That's what's going on here. Empower the people. That's what you want. And how do you empower the people? Take away the frickin' laws. When you take away the frickin' laws, you disempower the criminals and you empower those people who are otherwise known as law abiders. Because basically the government's going, hey, you're on your own. Your safety is on you. We're here to uphold your rights and your freedoms. We're not here to make you safe. It's just like, what was it? Patrick Henry said, guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect everyone, including law enforcers, who come near that precious jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force. And when you give up that force, you are utterly ruined. So leave your thoughts about this. I don't doubt that the homicide rates have gone up in all these democratically controlled cities because they are lowering the barrier and they are letting real criminals get away with murder while they prosecute people who they claim to be criminals because they broke some politician's rule somewhere. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comment section below.
Guys, we already know that they want to decimate the dollar, destroy the economy, bring us into a cashless society, and eventually make it difficult for us to even get food. That's why I constantly promote My Patriot Supply. Every chance I get, I turn my fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. This stuff is awesome. It's got a 25-year shelf life. And one thing we're all going to need is storable food. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. With my link in the description, you get $100 off of every order instantly. It'd be a good idea to order it while you can, because I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to ship this out. My link for your $100 off discount is in the description below.